have a
either again or whatever. So yeah, it was a blast. It was just a natural everything. So
That's good.
yeah,
Good.
I'm glad.
So we're on the air. Except for that. Lights on. Start.
Will the Des Moines Park and Recreation Board meeting for Tuesday, September 24th, please come to order? Rebecca, would you please call the roll?
Nolan,
Here?
Gelb,
Here.
Bogle,
Here.
Acto,
Here.
Kaney Vanderhaar,
Here.
Davis,
here.
Hassick,
Here.
Hanza,
Here.
Scavo,
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
We have a quorum. Can we take a look at the agenda, and do we have approval of the agenda as amended, or are there some changes that you'd like to make?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's look at the minutes of the October 27th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you. As Jen makes her way up here, we had a nice video done, and you may have caught this in the last 2 years. This was year 2 of the program where we partnered with Clear Channel Radio and the Air National Guard to have a nice display at Grays Lake of flags to honor those that we lost on 9/11. I just wanted to show you this nice video that was done that we have in-house. I thought you'd like to see this.
Once again, we're very excited to partner with Clear Channel and the United States Air Force and host the tribute trail for the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks at Grays Lake.
Well, it started actually 2 years ago. We started placing the flags at the Capitol, and then last year decided to make the change to come out here to Grays Lake, and this year we decided to do it again, and it's a beautiful landscape to do this wonderful memorial for the over 3,000 people that were lost that day.
There's 3,200 victims of the terrorist attacks. We've got 3,200 flags out here to represent each one of the victims that were killed that day.
We've got Clear Channel Radio, along with the Des Moines Parks and Recreation, and our real-life heroes, the Air Force. It's a big group effort, and it's a lot of work to put in the 3,000 flags, especially on a hot day like it is today. The ground is very hard, so a lot of hard work from these Air Force representatives to get those flags into the ground.
We've had such a positive response to the installation out here, and once it's up, it's quite a stunning display.
Seeing the amount of people just running the track and hearing their thanks and their gratitude, hearing the cars drive by as they honk. This is going to be a great thing for people to be able to come out and see. And this year we're actually extending it, whereas last year we had the flags up for just a day. We're actually going to have it up through the weekend, so plenty of time for the city to come out and see this great display, this great memorial.
Thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, just a quick video that we wanted to make sure you had a chance to see. And again, a tremendous amount of feedback since year 1 on this. It's a very popular thing for being such a small thing. Again, wish we didn't have such a drought. It was very hard sticking all those flags in that hard soil, but that was the only challenge we had, and we'll look forward to continuing the partnership. Next is your Did You Know? And one of my favorite parts of this is all the great history we have, not just in the parks, but in the cemeteries. And when I talk about Sims Cemetery, when I'm out and about talking to folks that ask about it, or if I bring it up, 9 out of 10 people don't even know where Sims Cemetery is. And raise your hand just quickly if you do. So this will be a good one for all of us here, and as well as the general public. Deanna Clausen from our team, she's been with the city many years and has been in the cemetery management side of things for many years. She's going to give the presentation. I'll ask her to come on up.
Thank you. Bear with me because I don't know for sure how to get this up. Again, I am Deanna Clausen, and my job title is Cemetery Operations Supervisor. Tonight, I am going to be talking about Sims Cemetery. Sims Cemetery is located at 3605 East University Avenue. Here's a little diagram to show you exactly where it's at. You can see that it's bordered on the north by University, and on the west is the State Fairgrounds. It's tucked away so you'll never see it if you drive by it. State historical records list the cemetery as Harris Cemetery, Agency Burying Ground, 4 Mile Cemetery, and also Sims Burying Ground. Now it's named Sims Cemetery. Sims Cemetery was established 6 years before the Civil War in 1855. It was established in Lee Township. It was purchased on March 16, 1855 by the Burying Ground Association. It was purchased on 1 acre of land from Pleasant Harris. It was acquired by the city of Des Moines in 1909. When the city of Des Moines acquired the cemetery, they were given this book, and I'm going to pass this book around so you can see. This book was dated back to the 1800s, so you can look at that book. Also, they gave us that book plus $249.09. I'm also going to pass around a deed from the 1800s, so you guys can look at this deed. At the time it was turned over to the city of Des Moines, we were known as the Department of Parks and Public Property.
Next time you get it.
It's also known as the Forgotten Cemetery. It's surrounded by the city. It sits on a hillside east of the Iowa State Fairgrounds. There's only one way into the cemetery. It's off a little tiny worn path going up a slope off of University Avenue. So you'd have to park on a side street to actually get into the cemetery. How many interments are at Sims? We don't know. The records were lost in 1909, and they did not keep very good records back in the 1800s. The Genealogy Society says there's 131. Findagrave.com says there are 115. Our current records show 99 graves.
Can I go ahead and go back a slide? I just want to take a brief moment to point something out. As you saw, there were some monuments that are in disrepair, and one of the things that we struggle with, and it's a resource issue more than anything else, there's so many dollars to go around in the city, and one of the things we're proud of is the way we maintain these 7 cemeteries. However, when you own a lot, it's just like owning your lot in your subdivision. You're responsible for everything on it. But people move away, families leave, families fall off of the face of the earth, so to speak. There's no more ways to find those folks. So we have limited dollars. We try our best to put those limited dollars that we do have to do so many per year to reset stones, even though the obligation is not ours, but it reflects on us. I wanted you to know that. That's why we have those in there. You'll see these at some cemeteries of ours that we manage, and there's many of them, and we would love nothing more for the TV audience to hear this. And we're always looking for donors or service groups to come and help us reestablish these and restore these to the way they were meant to be. Again, it's a resource issue. It's nothing more than we'd love to have those repaired.
The first burial was of an unidentified man who drowned while driving a team of oxen across the Des Moines River down by Vandalia Road. They say that he's buried under a large oak tree at Sims Cemetery. I don't know where the oak tree is. Might have been an oak tree many years ago, but that's where they say he was buried at. The last interment was of Grove Malthorpe. He was buried on August 26, 1967. He died at the age of 83 of natural causes. He was our last interment there. In 1939, they widened University Street. They took 66 feet of the approaching lands on each side of University, and they widened it. So 59 graves were moved from Sims Cemetery. Some of them were reinterred at Laurel Hill, some were reinterred at Rising Sun, and some at the Brethren Cemeteries. Pioneers of Des Moines are buried at Sims Cemetery. The Dean family was a prominent family in Des Moines. They moved to Des Moines in 1847. They settled on the bank of the Des Moines River. They established the first Presbyterian church in his home. He built the first steam saw and mill in Des Moines. We have a street named after him, Dean Avenue. Another prominent person is Sim. He also came from Ohio in 1848. He was a farmhand. He worked very hard. He built a log cabin in Bloomfield Township. He was very prominent in public affairs. He was a very well-liked person. He worked very hard. He was not a wealthy man. He contributed to the first schoolhouse. He was a leading member of the school board. He gave $1,000 for the help purchase the state grounds for the fair, and he served in the Civil War as a wagon master. Many died young in the 19th centuries. If you look, you can see all the small gravestones. These are all of children who were buried, and this is one family that I'm showing you. And if you look at the headstone, you could see that they were buried within either a month or a year apart from each other. Back then, they had no vaccination, no medical treatment, and epidemics took out many, many children. And you'll see a lot of family members over there. You'll see the Finch family, the Harris family, and the Sims, where they buried a lot of their children. This next slide is for myself. This is Newton Lamb. When I was growing up, I loved Daniel Boone. And Newton Lamb was a cousin of Daniel Boone. And I thought it was sort of neat that he was buried here at Sims Cemetery. Newton, he owned 300 acres of land on the Des Moines River bank. He was neighbors with the Sacs and Fox Native American Indians. And that's the end of my slide. Do you have any questions?
Now you all know where Sims Cemetery is at. If you ever have a chance, it's hard to get to, but stop and pull off one of those side streets and walk in there and check it out.
It's very hard to see.
67 was the last burial there?
Yes.
So at 35, are there any lots left?
You know, I really can't tell you.
Because we don't know, because 30 of them might be,
Right.
we're missing 30 people out of it.
Right. It'd be hard to tell if there's any lots left.
That was interesting. You did a great job on that.
Well, thank you very much.
Could you bring up the slide of the location again very quickly, the first one?
Our guess is there is no spaces left just because they widened University, and if there was, they probably would have tried to fill those first before moving them on to other locations. They don't know that for a fact, though.
Is this the most hidden cemetery we have been in as far as hidden, what is the city own, 7?
We have 7 cemeteries, and this was probably the most hidden, even though it's on one of the higher traveled roads in the city.
Okay.
It's up in a steep embankment, so you don't see it. You see right there on University, there's some large trees that overshadow the cars up front. So by the time you go by it so quickly in that speed limit, you don't see it. You have to pull off on that next street, which if you can go off of East 36th Court, and you just park, and you have to walk again to the front and walk up the front path.
Does the city own that land that's to the right on this
we
picture?
don't.
The land to the right is owned by the Iowa State Fairgrounds.
Okay, all right.
They just purchased that land, and they just put in a new fence. If you drive by there, you'll see a brand-new fence up. I've heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, that they're going to put campgrounds in there.
So it's a city cemetery, right?
This is a city cemetery, yes.
So theoretically, a relative of someone buried there could auger in and drop an urn?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They're going to have to prove to us that they're a relative.
Right,
But yes, if they can prove to us, yes, they can have a second interment on a grave site.
great.
Thank you, Deanna. These are great reports.
Thank you.
Next, I'm going to have Kevin come up and talk about the great event with Rebuilding Together that's coming up next week at Columbus Park. Ron Ward is managing this project, but Ron's at the Iowa Park and Rec Conference right now, so Kevin has been his assistant on this project. He's going to help give it a little update. And since Kevin's up here, I ask him when he's done on this topic just to go ahead and take the Drake Rowing Club facility, because that's his report as well.
All right, Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Kevin Moran, Senior Park Planner, has been mentioned to discuss the Rebuilding Together project. This year, they're going to be working with McKinley School and the Columbus Park neighborhood. Last year, they were already in the neighborhood. They're doing a second year here. This is just give you a location of where Columbus Park. I realize we have a lot of new members on the board here, so I want to make sure we understand where these parks are. Columbus Park in the middle of the screen there is off of Southwest 2nd, and as Thomas Beck comes around to it, in Southeast 1st, and so, and Indianola, they all kind of converge in there. This is an aerial of the park. As I mentioned, Rebuilding Together worked with us last year. Last year they put together some picnic tables, shade structures, benches for around the bocce ball court, which is in the bottom right-hand corner there next to the tennis courts. They also put in a new sign and a bunch of landscaping. And so this year, the plan is, as you can see, is a proposed playground. The other big area of concrete, that space you see in there, is our new splash pad or spray grounds that we put in there. And so sticking with that same theme, obviously Christopher Columbus Park, we went through and they decided to go ahead with a theme of a boat. And so here is that picture of that playground. And this is chosen by the group there, and we think it's going to be a good fit, work with everything else going on there. And we all know that Christopher Columbus was not a pirate, so the flags on this boat are not what's going to be out there. We will put in some appropriate flags, but this is what the manufacturer puts together. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that we understand the history a little bit too. It does fit in with a theme of our existing, and this is the spray grounds that we've got out there that's opened up this summer. And as you can see the flag there, we've got the City of Des Moines flag roasted high. So we tying that in together with that theme there, and I think it's going to be a great project, and we thank Rebuilding Together and all their volunteers. The day is going to be October 3rd, a week from Thursday. So some of the work is already getting started right now, some of the base work, but that group will come in one day and put the playground together and get it all wrapped up. So pretty amazing. If you drive by the park last year and the neighborhood, there are hundreds of people that come out and do all this volunteer for this. So it's a great asset for the city to have this group help us out.
Kevin, is the McKinley School helping with the project then? Is that?
No, it's just the neighborhood. McKinley School, Columbus Park is the neighborhood.
This also means that the existing playground, which is no longer passing inspection by national standards, will be removed. It's on the opposite side of the park toward the southeast corner, if I have my directions right here.
Yep, and in that point, it's going to be way down here in the bottom corner. It's not in that picture. But anybody watching, we've gotten a lot of calls when the Ewing Park and the Ashley Oakland Star Playground was going in. A lot of calls asking if what we do with our old playgrounds, can other departments, other cities come in and take those, and the answer is no. Unfortunately, we use our playgrounds to the extent they are, and trying to remove them and rebuild them is just not a safe practice, and so we just don't do that. And a lot of them they're safe now, but when you start rebuilding them, it comes into a whole nother play. And so the one there is probably over 20 years old. And yeah, as Ben mentioned, we'll probably take it out of this winter once this new one's up and running.
A certain degree of liability follows those kind of gifts, and we just can't have that liability, unfortunately.
So as Ben mentioned, while I'm up here, I'll go on to the next one. We've been approached by Drake University, interested in building a rowing boat house at Prospect Park. Once again, Prospect Park is going to be along Prospect Road off of Hickman and M.L. King in the middle there. It's quite a big park. It's kind of hard to define when you're out there, but on the screen here along the river. Here's an aerial blowing up into what the amenities are out there existing right now. At the top of the screen, we have a dock that floats. There's a boat ramp. Right in the middle by the 1301 is a restroom facility. There's a parking lot, and then over to the west there is a shade structure and a playground. I also laid out exactly, about location where the proposed boathouse is going to be. It's about a 70 by 100 footprint, and we are working with all the approvals of the city as well as the Corps. Not many people know this, but Prospect Park is actually leased land from the Corps. So the city has a 50-year lease on it, and we are able to sublease that within our agreement. And this fits in with that type of sublease and as the activities go on. So we are working through that process. But it has been kind of moving along really quickly now. So I just want to give the board an update on that. They do have some architectural drawings. They are working with an architect, and so it will be a really nice facility. As I mentioned, we'll house their women's rowing club team so they can practice Right now, they are out of the Guzman Building over by Birdland Marina with Des Moines Rowing Club, and they hope to move their facilities over to this once it is constructed. Within that footprint, they're looking at storage, a team room, locker rooms, a few restrooms, and then a kitchenette area too. So they do host a regatta every year out there, and so this would be a great place to kind of be able to host it from their home field, per se, kind of thing.
Any questions for Kevin?
Regarding Columbus Park, I want to backtrack a little bit. Are you planning on removing the wading pool, the concrete wading pool?
The other wading pool that's over by there, yes, I believe that is slated. Once we get the splash
I
ground.
think you alluded to that.
We were looking at trying to reprogram it with the Rebuilding Together group as we put the playground in this year. Unfortunately, it's with the playground and it's in that location that's kind of off to the side. The other thing that's going on with Columbus is we've got a lot of football practice going on, and they're looking for more space. And so we hope to kind of activate more field and open space for that by removing those two amenities.
But the shelter stays?
The shelter stays at this time, yep. Yes?
Kevin, was the Des Moines Rowing Club leasing space to Drake?
They had a kind of a combined agreement. I'm not sure how that was. We'll get into that because as we go through that process, but I don't recall how it was written, whether they were both a leasee or if one was a sublease of the other.
Okay. Okay.
There's many steps left along the way here, but it will soon make probably the media's attention at some point because it's going to be in front of different boards and commissions to make sure they have the right approvals. So we wanted to show you the first glimpse. We don't have a lot of details yet. I think it's also important to let you know that one of your board members is the firm that's the architectural firm on here. And so when we do have those discussions, we've talked, he knows this, but it's Mike Simonson and he'll be abstaining. That's why.
How many shells will that hold then?
You know, I don't know.
I mean, 12s, 8s, 4s?
I'd have to leave that up to the Drake University. This is a building that they are designing for their needs, and so they would have, you know,
we'll have them come back to a meeting to talk to you, to answer your questions from their perspective once we have better detail.
Thank you, Kevin.
The last two items I have are in Jen's world. She's the project lead on both these projects, so I'll ask her to stop up and talk about these two great events.
Like the Taj Mahal. Maybe that would be very cool appearance.
Yeah.
Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board, Jenna Fletcher, Marketing Supervisor, and here to talk to you about a couple of big events we've got going on in the next few weeks. You should all have a little handout in front of you. This coming Saturday, out at our first Natural Playscape, we're doing a little celebration to celebrate the space. You're all invited to come out Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We'll have some activities for the kids, it's called a make-a-track, an animal track. We're doing a monarch butterfly maze. We have a hollowed out tree, and what we're gonna do is invite kids to come out and kind of pop their heads out and take pictures. We'll also have cupcake refreshments, so come out. We're gonna do it rain or shine, so if it's not looking so great, please come out. We'll have the event in the shelter. So any questions about that particular event on Saturday?
Are you looking for people to bring kids as props?
Yes, please. If you have children, know people who have children, please come out. The more the merrier in this respect. So if you have grandkids, cousins, just again, the more the merrier. So.
And those of you who went to the Reno Dog Park, this is just right across the street.
Yes, 3530 East Douglas. So it's on the other side of the road and up a bit. So.
I spent some time there last month. My wife was across the street at Taylor House and took my granddaughter over there a couple of times just to get her out. And just like this young man in the photo, she enjoyed sitting on top there getting wet. And I watched other kids. I like the concept. It's really nice.
There's, all kinds of cool things. There's a sundial, a tunnel, a cave. There's a rock scramble, a log scramble. Again, there's lots of really cool things. And it's really all about getting kids out in nature. And it's not a synthetic thing. It's all like, except for the plastic slide, but it's all kind of cool things. So. Any questions? Okay.
Just the one flavor of cupcakes?
Dirt.
That's my George. That's good.
Our next event that I'm up here to share with you, we are partnering with the Healthiest State Initiative, and what we want everybody to do is come out and take a walk in any one of our 76 parks on October 9th. We have gone ahead and listed all of the parks on this website. So if you go to iowashealthieststate.com and sign up, just put in your zip code, your address, and you can sign up to walk in just a 1K any time in the day. We just want everybody to go out and walk. We've reached out to all of the neighborhoods through our newsletter. We're going to go ahead and send out another specialized communication to all of the neighborhood presidents. We have a press release that's going out. It's on our Facebook. It's on our website. We're going to hit it really hard. We just want everybody to go out and walk that day. And again, it's an initiative through Healthy Estate. We're partnering with Hy-Vee. We really want this to be as successful as possible. We invite you to walk. Again, cousins, neighborhoods, nephews, anybody who wants to walk. We want to out that day. So any questions on that?
Do you have volunteers from Hy-Vee at each park?
No.
Okay.
We're just, again, we got some signage we're gonna have out in the parks. It's really, it's kind of a free-for-all, just to get out and walk that day, so.
Great.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Before we go on, if you have any other questions for Ben, one of the events that Jen helped sponsor last week was the Easy Launch event at Grays Lake. And since Joe wasn't able to be there, I want to make sure he has a special thank you for he and Amy bringing the Easy Launch to the attention of the parks and for getting it put in. It's going to be just, there was such an enthusiastic response to it. There were many disabled people there that I think 4 people actually tried it that day, and it's just going to add so much to the vitality of the park. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Amy. Any other questions for Ben and his report? Okay, moving on for board action. The grass program, which we had a report last week. Do we have a further report today?
We do not, and we're glad to answer any questions that you may have had between now and last time. As you know, we're trying to roll this out here in the first few days of October with our friends at Community Action Agency. And we'll get this thing going out, and we'll notify all the groups that need to know, and we'll work with the schools and everybody.
Do I have a motion for the board?
I'll move.
Second. Just have a few questions.
Yes?
Were you able to quantify, just based on the difference in the income levels, how many people would be impacted by the raising the dollar amounts at all?
We really are not able to do that quite yet, since we are raising it to that next amount. What we've done, though, is using the best information we have available, which is our friends at Community Action Center. They're the ones that kind of have this business the best understood, so they've told us that since we were going to start calling for better controls on this, that one thing we could do, one of our goals in our department was to make sure we're still serving those that need it. If we broaden the net to catch as many people as possible, even though we're requiring them to justify it and verify that their need. That was our thought process. We'll be glad to give you a number at the end of the year, but I just don't have that kind of information available right now.
And
I guess I'd be
these percentages of poverty, I mean, still our area median income, these are well below our area median incomes for this community, well below.
I guess I'd be curious to know, just because there's a difference between lower enrollment because you're confirming, verifying income and whatnot versus lowering the threshold on income. And I'd just be curious to know when those numbers come available, how much of that is due to the reduction in income levels.
We'll track that.
Any other questions? Rebecca, will you call the roll?
Nolan?
Yes?
Geld?
Yes.
Ogle?
Yes.
Pacto?
Yes.
Kenny Vanderhaar?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Hasek?
Yes.
Pienza?
Yes.
Scavo?
Yes.
Thornton?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to the Urban Conservation Committee appointment. As many of you know, this is Marion's last evening with us as a board member, but we would very much like her to stay on the Urban Conservation Committee and stay on as chair, actually. So I think you have this in your packet. It required 2 actual park board members to be on it, and so Marion would move from a park board representative to a citizen appointment.
As you recall, recently, we've been bringing all citizen appointments for your 4 official subcommittees to you. It does 2 things. It makes it transparent, but it also helps us when our term limits, if those groups do have term limits, we can go back and look and say, okay, this person started on this date and make it more official for us. So we need a motion.
I'll move.
Second.
Questions? Rebecca, would you call the roll?
Nolan.
Yes?
Gelb.
Is it appropriate for me to vote? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, yes?
Ogle.
Yes.
Facto.
Yes.
Haney Vanderhaar.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Passick.
Yes.
Anza.
Yes.
Scavo.
Yes.
Thornton.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to receive and file, we have a special guest this evening who's going to talk about an elm project. Welcome, Judy Pernicki.
Stroking through it.
As you can see, I'm a real tech.
Thank you. Thanks for cursing us.
Good thing you got a green thumb.
Oh, yeah, that is so true. I'm Judy Pernicki. Good afternoon. I am a member of the Des Moines Founders Garden Club, and I'm very honored to be invited to speak to you, Chairman Nolan and Director Page, about our 5-year project now of Dutch elm disease-resistant trees being planted in our Des Moines green spaces. As they say, the saga began in 2008, and this all came about because it was the centennial of our national organization, the Garden Club of America. The club sent out a challenge to each of the 200 clubs that are members of the Garden Club of America to develop a program commemorating their centennial, which is this year, the 100th year. And they gave us directions. They want us to develop a 5-year program around preserving the past, growing the future. Trees are living history. Well, it just so happened that I was the newly appointed chairman of the Horticulture Committee, and this program came to me. Mercifully, however, we had Mary Bay on the committee, who had a long working established relationship with Sue and Buzz Brinton, and our garden club has been very involved with the Brinton Arboretum since its inception. So they knew all about Buzz Brinton going to Chicago to meet with Dr. George Ware and develop his elms collection for the Arboretum. The second good luck charm in my committee was that I had Susan Nolan and Marion Gelb on the committee at the same time. And they were working on the Urban Conservation Advisory Council at that time and had been looking at reforestation of the city's green spaces. They were very excited about this project too, and met with Don Tripp and got the okay to have the Des Moines Parks be our partner in this project. So after that very first 6 months, we had 2 partners, and we developed our mission statement, which was to study, grow, educate, evaluate, and promote the Dutch elm disease-resistant elms to the region and get them back into our beloved tree, back into the forefront of the city parks. The very first thing that we did was present this whole program to the Garden Club, and this photo is of us at Brinton Arboretum, and we started working with Dr. Mark Gleason of Iowa State. Mark is the head of the 15-year National Elms Trials Project out of Iowa State. He educated us. We learned about all the cultivars that they're using in the project and used nothing but cultivars that are being tested in the project as trees that we are planting in our green spaces. He couldn't be with us on this day, but he sent the plot manager, Erica Salu, to come and give us a presentation. And the club voted overwhelmingly to adopt the project as our centennial project. So we were on our way. In May, with the help of Andy Schmitz, who was our liaison with the Arboretum, and Julie, who is not here tonight, Ben Studios, now Hempel, as our liaison with the city, we ordered in our first 25 Dutch elm disease-resistant whips. And here you can see Mike Gall showing off his successful planting. And the next photo is Westchester Park, where you can see members of the committee planting by hand these first whips. The reason we chose whips is because they're much less expensive than mature trees. And we can get them in under the auspices of the Arboretum, so they come in piggybacking on other tree orders. So we liked the thought of the whips, but this was the beginning of a learning curve. We did capture the public imagination with us planting these trees. In fact, they liked them so much that of the 13 trees that we initially planted in parks, 4 were immediately borrowed, let me say, and retransplanted somewhere else. Yes, they came into our parks and dug up our trees. So the next group here is Julie and Mike planting the tree that didn't make it in Union Park. We learned the next step in the learning curve, you have to put stakes around them because those people that do the weed whacking and the mowing sometimes get too close to your trees and they don't make it. And the last lesson is me in Greenwood Park with my favorite Prince of Greenwood Park. This was my tree that I was the monitor of. I'm putting up the stakes to put the fence around, but the 8-point buck beat me to the fence around them, and we lost that tree to deer rut. And you always have to be careful. So those are the initial lessons we learned that first year. Every fall, we would come back in the winter months and evaluate what we had done and make a plan for the next year. So mercifully, again, in 2010, Buzz and Andy were looking at their nursery situation and their elms collection, and they wanted to move 18 trees away out of there, and they decided to donate them to the Elms Project. So here in this first slide is Dennis Strayfeld. Oh, I can never say his name. Strepler, thank you. Driving the tractor, he's the best with the 33-inch tree spade. We balled and burlapped. There's the rest of the volunteers and park workers in the back. 14 trees and brought them into Des Moines and put them in 6 parks. Here is Dennis and I in Redhead Park with a beautiful New Horizon. The bonus of that year was that we did write and receive one of the last streetscape grants from the city to remove the final 4 mature trees from the Arboretum into, and now you're looking at the Morton accolades that have gone in on either side of the Ewing Park shelter. And both of these trees were planted, well, actually the accolades were handed to Buzz and Andy by Dr. George Ware when they were just about this big. And they put them in the, finally got them out of their little tree nursery and put them into the big Elms Project in 2000 and 2001. So these are mature trees. Gary Stanford was the man that won the bid to do this, and he was an Ike, and, which is Isaac Walton League, and I think he really gave us a bargain. So I just want to show you another slide of what the trees look like now. This is after 2 years, and they These trees are just, no wonder everybody loves elms. They've gained about 10 to 12 feet and 2 to 3 inches in caliper. They're wonderful trees. Here we are at Brody with the New Horizons and at Ewing with the accolades. Meanwhile, back at the ranch in 2011, we brought in 25 elm starts again and planted them with the help. Each year we ask a different group to help us be tree monitors and planters. This year it was the Dallas County Master Gardeners and the Polk County Master Gardeners. 5 went into the empty spaces in the nursery that we had taken trees out of, and 20 went into a newly developed nursery right across from Pioneer Park, the maintenance buildings there in Pioneer Park. Julie and I and Andy scoped that out the year before and thought this would be a great place to have a nursery because there's always so many vehicles coming in and out of there. Well, we made one little miscalculation. We forgot about 4th of July and young people. On 4th of July, the day after, I got a call from Julie and Dennis. They had come in, and it must have been little boys, or little children anyway. They pulled up the smaller 3-foot trees, bent over the mainstream, the main apical mainstem of the big trees, the leader, and that left the tall trees alone. So that's why we thought it was vandalism by children. We were considering going and giving talks in all the schools around there to encourage them not to do that again. Over the winter, the club did vote to replace those trees that were lost, and they are in now the new nursery. On April 2012, Andy and Dennis and Buzz got busy again, and this is the first year that the trees have started going into our cemetery spaces. And the river walk right here, you can see the park crew planting right there on Water Street on the left-hand side, overlooking the river walk area. And then here I am with the Mighty Dingo planting trees in the Elmwood Cemetery. So we got extra trees that year, along with our 25 new whips that we brought in. We brought them into the secure area of the Maury Street nursery. It's a perfect place to have trees. It's got a good water source, and it's protected from deer and vandalism. There was only one small problem. There were still about 90 trees that were waiting there to be moved to the Riverwalk area. So we had to do some creative holding pins for our 25 new starts, and we borrowed pots from everybody and planted the trees, and they started going in the 1st of June, and we got the last ones in as they were moving people, the older trees, bigger trees out by July. So this is the group of people over here on the right side that were our volunteers this year. This is Carol and Mike Rowland, and they're both members of the Isaac Walton League. But Carol taught me a new group of people. They are members of the Ding Darlings, which is the Women's Auxiliary portion of Isaac Walton group. And they recruited, I think, more people to be tree monitors than the actual guys. So good work, Ding Darlings. Here they are. They're in Laurel Hill looking at their David that they were monitoring, as well as helping plant. Now here we are in this year in the Maury Street Nursery. All the big trees are all gone now. We have 20 trees from 2012, which you can see are the larger trees in the front, 25 new trees, Dutch elm resistant cultivars. Behind that, it's not the best picture of them, but then thanks to Marlene, we had a little talk with Buzz Brenton about how we were really working in the cemeteries, and he thought that was a great idea, and so he donated these 25 Kentucky tree starts to the cemeteries. When we got them, they were about a foot tall. This photo is about a month old. They're just thriving in the nursery. In front of them are 5 columnar tulip trees that the Arboretum didn't want either, and so they are bringing the total of trees in the Maury Street Nursery alone to 70 trees that over the next 2 years we will be planting in the parks. So now here's where we're going. This is a picture of Mary Bay. Remember I told you she was friends with the Britons, and they have their family plot in Glendale Cemetery. They were out looking and they noticed that both the pines were dead. And Mary remembered about these donated charms down in Pioneer Park. So with the help of Andy, we did get a wonderful gentleman named Mark's Nursery to bring in their 44-inch Vermeer tree spade, and we moved these trees in an afternoon. The tree spade was magnificent. As Doug said, the gentleman that's working it, these trees don't even know they're being moved. They just slip them in like a slipper. They are beautiful, and we realize that that is the final component that we need to this project. And so last winter, we started writing grants to underwrite a tree spade, thanks to Marion. She talked to her friends at Metro Waste Authority, and they said, give us some of those grants. And at the beginning of the summer, we got 2 grants for $2,500 apiece. And we're negotiating right now with Mary Vermeer Adringa at Vermeer Corporation. She's offering to help us locate a tree spade that we can afford. So stand by on this one. In May, this is the Founders Garden Club photo. We have our annual meeting at the Hall of Laureates, beautiful World Food Prize building. And I gave a report on everything that we've done over the past 5 years. And everybody was so enthused and thought this project and this partnership between the parks, the Arboretum, and our club has worked so well and is now working smoothly that they voted to extend the project another 5 years and the funding. So we truly are preserving the past and growing our future with this great partnership. And we thank you all. This is a biography of some of the books, and I have little copies if you're interested in further pursuing any of the literature about the trees. And are there any questions?
Judy, tell us what's happening. Where does this tree spade go, and how is it going to be used?
Oh, the tree spade, we've been working with Ben, will be donated from the Garden Club to the City of Des Moines Parks and Recs. But it will be administrated and housed by them, but it will be available for all city city forestry needs. Nobody has a tree spade, or not even West Des Moines. This will be probably the first tree spade that is in the area. So it will be a boon to all of us, and will vastly decrease the amount of money it takes to plant and transplant a tree. Any other questions?
Just a comment, I want to thank you for your perseverance. I didn't realize how difficult planting trees could be, and I don't know if that's a similar experience to the city, that you experience a lot of loss in what you initially plant, but.
It was a learning curve, but I think we've got it down now. Thank you.
I also want to thank Judy and the club for all their work. They do more than just that for the department, and as we all know, these tight times for the city, we just can't survive by ourselves and do all the great things we want to do without the help with outside partners, and they have been a tremendous asset to us. They're there at every turn we want to do a new project with this, and I'm just proud to be a partner with Judy and their team, so thank you for all you've been doing.
Well, thank you.
And a huge thank you to Judy and Marion for helping raise the funds for this tree spade. That's a great, wonderful addition.
We're a good team.
Well, the truth is Judy's the leader of the team.
Well, I grew into the job.
all along. And
Thank you.
I mean, she mentioned several other people and club members, but the fact of the matter is Judy has taken this on as a labor of love and spent countless hours with her trees. And the Parks Department, who I also want to acknowledge, as Judy said, has been
Oh,
fabulous
magnificent. I'm on a first-name
partner.
basis with so many people.
Right.
And I know more parks than I ever imagined.
So
Not all 76 yet, though.
We'll get you there.
to be able to let us, do this is great. And then Buzz and Sue Brenton and the Brenton Arboretum with their donations has really expanded the scope of this and, added some different native trees, which falls beautifully in with our reforestation objectives. So it's been a great partnership all the way around.
Judy,
Good work,
thank you so
Judy.
much for being here tonight. I have a motion to receive and file.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Our last item is just a summary of our aquatic season. We kind of break up the aquatics division in our department two ways. The big pools, which Robin Leeper will start with, and she manages our 5 municipal pools. And then we also have the novelty pools, the wading pools, and the splash pads. And Tim Smith will follow and talk about that season.
Chair Nolan, members of the Park and Recreation Board. Robin Leeper, Recreation Supervisor with Des Moines Park and Recreation. The aquatics team consists of myself and Jill Burt. Jill is our swim lesson coordinator, and she is also in charge of training. The pool season for 2013 began Memorial Day weekend and ended Labor Day weekend, which gave us 84 days to be open this summer. This year did bring us one of the wettest springs and the 7th driest summer, as well as very cool temperatures. Majority of days this summer saw 80-degree temperatures, while last year temperatures were often in 90s and above. And our attendance figures reflected those low temperatures. But similar decreases were also seen in attendances at other area pools such as Clive, Ankeny, Winterset, and Indianola. Family Swim Night was a new program that we provided this year and was well attended. The events were held from 7 to 9 p.m. at all 5 of our pools. And many patrons loved the time that they were able to swim in the evening hours, which is different. I mean, most of our pools are open during the day, and so the evening swim time was something new. Doggy Dive is also an event that we hold annually. It's for dogs and their owners to enjoy time at the pool. And we always hold it the last day of the pool season. And some of the numbers, the attendance numbers here on the screen in front of you. Several outside groups rent our pools on a regular basis for swim team practices, synchronized swimming rehearsals, and tournaments such as water polo tournaments. The numbers that you see in front of you are membership numbers. For example, Central Iowa Aquatics has 175 members, but they use our facilities 5 days a week, twice a day. So those numbers in front of you reflect the membership numbers, and most of those members use our facilities repeatedly throughout the week and day. We offer training and water safety instruction and lifeguarding throughout the summer. This year, we were also able to work with Des Moines Public Schools to offer lifeguard training as a part of their curriculum at East High School and at North High School. 23 students were able to receive PE credit and training to become a lifeguard. And we actually ended up hiring 11 of those students to work for us this summer. So that's something that we're very excited about, and we're continuing that program again this year. We offer swim lessons at all 5 of our facilities, and we utilize the American Red Cross Learn to Swim program. The rest of my report will actually focus on information about our swim lesson program. This is the 3rd year in a row that we have seen an increase in swim lesson participants. we had a total of 2,227 students register for swim lessons this summer. We believe that the convenience of online registration and the change to our program has helped with that increase. We actually created a new preschool program or preschool class that helped bridge the gap between our baby, infant, and me and our level 1 class. Also with the change in pool hours, where we were able to add 2 additional time slots to our swim lesson program, which increased the class offerings from 289 to 431 this summer.
I just want to hit a point again there. Something that's ancillary to the swim lesson report is the fact that we have our first online registration program. The very first program we tried out was online swimming lessons, and you can see that for the first thing we've ever offered to the public, 74% of people found it. That's a good sign. So as we have a whole year to put all the programs through this new system, we expect that to keep growing. Great service for our community.
We offer swim lessons, again, at all 5 of our facilities, and the chart in front of you here breaks down per pool what our attendance numbers were. At Birdland Swimming Pool, we offer both individual swim lessons and agency swim lessons to those groups that provide summer care and camps to youth. We work with several agencies to recruit swim lesson participants, and some of those agencies that we work with include Olivet Baptist Church, Boys and Girls Club, Children and Families Urban Ministries, Campfire USA, our own Evelyn Davis Summer Camp, Children's Garden, and Des Moines Public Schools English Language Learners. We work with Des Moines Public Schools Community Education to support their swim lessons during the school year when our facilities are closed. And we help recruit non-swimmers and provide scholarships to those students. This year we were able to provide scholarships to 52 students. Through a collaboration, this is our second year actually for this collaboration with Des Moines Public Schools and the English Language Learners Summer Program. We were able to teach 200 kids in grades K through 5 how to swim this summer. These children come from non-English speaking families. They've been in our country less than 2 years, and most of them have never experienced open waterways before. These children swim in lakes and rivers near their homes here in the United States and just really don't understand the dangers that are involved. So having this program, or having us be able to work with this program has really, it's made a difference. We see more kids learning to swim, whether it's in the water. We also do water-based or land-based activities with these kids too, just to know water safety. A little over 100 of the ELL students completed a 1-week swim lesson class at Ruby Van Meter Pool. Our pools are scheduled for public swim lessons on Monday through Thursday. So we were actually able to utilize time on Friday mornings at Nahas and Northwest Aquatic Center to teach another 95 of those ELL students for a total of 203 students this summer. Here's a thank you from one of our ELL students. We receive many of these each year, but I just kind of wanted to share at least one of them with you. We have so many kids that just appreciate the opportunity to be part of this program. We actually sponsor these kids. 100% of their swim lesson registration fees are covered in scholarships.
And that's covered by the Friends of Des Moines Parks. As many of you know, as existing board members, some of you new board members may not know that's their goal, is to fund the subsidy by the city as best as they can. They can't commit to 100%, but they do relatively well when it comes to giving us $10,000 and $20,000 at a time.
This summer, we actually saw a 10% decrease in the amount of assistance that we offered, or the amount of assistance that we provided students, as well as seeing an increase in the number of participants that we served. So that was a good thing. But while we saw a decrease, which was good, we still have a great need in our facility, or in our community, to provide scholarships to kids. We actually provided over $24,000 in assistance this past year. So I want to say thank you to Friends of Des Moines Parks for everything that they do to support our program and continue to support that program and find the way to fund these scholarships. They make a huge difference in many lives. Okay. Tim Smith is here, and he will actually, he's our recreation supervisor, and he's going to talk to you guys about our wading pool program.
Chair Nolan and members of the Park and Recreation Board, I'm Tim Smith, Park and Recreation Supervisor. I'm here to talk to you about the 2013 wading pool season. This summer, the Parks and Recreation Department once again provided free, safe wading pool facilities for area residents. As you will see during this portion of the aquatics presentation, wading pool patrons have changing facility preferences, which this department is ready to accommodate. The wading pool season lasts a total of 16 weeks, with 4 of our 16 pools open 7 days a week. Since 2012, 2 of the 4 splash pads, rotating each year, have remained open for an additional 3 weeks through mid-September. In 2013, weekend hours for the splash pads were increased by adjusting the hours of operation from noon to 4 p.m. on weekends to 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Each pool has at least 1 trained staff person on site. Our staff retention rate averages about 65% per year. Staff returning year after year helps give patrons a sense of trust and familiarity with our department. Twelve of the city's 16 wading pools are traditional pools. Multiple generations have attended these pools, which do not have spray features. This year, over 20,000 residents attended a traditional pool, which some prefer due to a quieter atmosphere and convenient location. The 12 traditional pools are available for private rentals outside of pool hours of operation. At $25 per hour, renting a pool is a low-cost, safe, and fun way to celebrate special occasions. While our traditional pools have much to offer, the majority of our patrons attend the splash pads, one of which is located in each ward of the city. Each splash pad has multiple spray features, is larger and newer than traditional pools, and operates for extended hours. In 2013, traditional pools at McHenry and Columbus Parks were replaced by spray features. Despite this and the cooler weather, wading pool attendance was still over 78,000. This chart shows the patron migration to splash pads over the past 3 years. As you can see, over 70% of our patrons attended the 4 splash pads, up 9% since 2009. Patron feedback has consistently mentioned the preference of pools with aquatic features that spray water. In addition to our existing spray feature facilities at Sargent, Evelyn K. Davis, and Woodlawn, new spray features opened this summer at 3 locations: McHenry, Good, and Columbus Parks. Unlike traditional pools, spray features do not require staff as they do not have standing water. Open through mid-October, the new spray features are programmed to operate from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Between these hours, patrons can turn the features on with the push of a button. From aquatic centers to traditional wading pools, Des Moines offers a wide variety of options that help ensure the aquatic needs of our residents are met. This concludes our presentation. I'd like to thank Robin for joining me tonight, and now we can answer any questions you may have.
I have a question, Tim, and that is, The 16 traditional wading pools that we have, those are the concrete, about 1.5 foot deep wading pools throughout the city, and we have 16 of them. They rent for $25 an hour. Do you rent the splash pads?
We do not. We no longer.
Okay, so those are unavailable for rent, and then the spray feature pools are not available for renting either.
Right. The spray features are strictly open to any and all from 10 to 8 daily.
Okay.
That's a great question, and let me add a little bit to that is that we used to rent those, and we ran into some more conflict than it was worth renting it and bad PR. As you may guess, they're very popular, so when you reserved it for a time that was already closed beyond the season, beyond that day's hours of operation, the users would want to have it for their birthday party, for an example, but park users would come, and they wouldn't want to recognize that, or they just wanted to use the pool. So you had two user groups that were in conflict. So we made a decision. It was a few $1,000s worth of rental revenue we were gaining. It wasn't worth the conflict, so we stopped running those facilities. That's why. But I'm glad you brought that up.
I can definitely understand that.
It's very popular.
And I could see the conflict on it, and it's probably a good idea not to rent those because they would be, it would probably be a mess keeping the two groups separated.
We gave it a try. It just didn't work.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I was very impressed with Robin and Tim on this, and we really have a great swimming water program in the city of Des Moines, and I think it would be second to none throughout the state. As I drive by the city and I see little kids around Union Park and around these different places in Crevaro, and I see them all, and then even in the neighborhood parks and in the pools too. I just think that if I had one area that I would be concerned about, being a former teacher and really stressing that swimming, every kid learning how to swim. I was a little disheartened, and certainly not through you guys, but we only had about 300 participants wanting to learn how to swim at Birdland. And I would say that there's an area where swimming would be very, very important, and yet that had the lowest number of swimming participants, plus the scholarships were available. So I would like to see that brought up, and I don't know how you would do that, but we do have, and it's through you guys' efforts that we have this great program in Des Moines.
Thank you. Thanks, George.
Any other questions for Tim or Robin? What a rewarding program to be working at. I mean, just
Oh, it's great.
very exciting.
Yeah, I sure enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tim, will you go to the splash pad tonight when you're done here and just run through?
Okay, George.
I know it.
Do I have a motion from the board to receive and file?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a couple of board appointments for committees that we're looking toward. We have someone that needs to be on the Urban Conservation Committee and also someone on the Cemetery Advisory Committee. I know some new board members maybe have not signed on yet, so if I have any volunteers at the moment, I would take them. If not, we can think about it a little bit. We were sort of behind the scenes thinking that Andrea might be a good person for urban conservation, but maybe she needs a little time to think about that. And then we also need someone for
They
the
meet on
cemetery.
Thursdays at 7:30 a.m. at Metro Waste Building.
I could do that.
We'll take that as a yes. Thank you.
And Carolyn, you're the board member on the cemetery,
Cemeteries.
so we
Okay. Before we adjourn, we have a little unfinished business to do.
Need to start.
we're not gonna let you get away that easy.
Start up.
Chair Nolan, members of the Des Moines Park and Recreation Board, I'm Ben Page, Director of Parks and Recreation. It's my pleasure tonight to recognize Marion Gill as an outstanding member of our Park and Recreation Board, and she's done so much for our department. Those that know Marion know that she's very modest, and she'll be the first to tell you that what we're about to show you, she only played a role in. She wasn't the leader, she wasn't the person that did all these things. And when she found out that we were going to recognize her tonight, she said to us, make it short and please don't embarrass me. So we're trying to honor that and make it short. So I had to figure a way to do this, so I want to do it through pictures. Keep it short. So Marion Gill, this is your life in the Park and Recreation Board.
Your life. Okay.
Marion's done a lot of things for us when it comes to Greenwood Pond. I think she might tell you that's one of her favorite spots in Des Moines park system. There's many of alike, I know. McHenry Park, guys, when we went through the new master plan for McHenry Park, she was the one that really, among others, cheered us on and said, you know, this is a top-level idea that's going to take a lot of convincing of other folks, including elected leaders, but it's worth it, and go for it. So she cheerleaded us on that project as well. You know, one of the things that we're really proud of, too, is one of our first partnerships with Des Moines schools. We're a leader when it comes to this. We have a park on the southwest side of town, if you haven't been there yet, that's on school property. We have a long agreement with them that spells out who does what, but it's a great use of green space. It's a great use of taxpayer dollars to provide more green space outside of the school hours. Another one of her favorite parks. Of course, Grays Lake. Marion's been on the board since 2000. She played a pivotal role in helping with Grays Lake, and we all know what Grays Lake means to our community. The natural resources inventory, spurred right off of the McHenry project. As you know, we had the natural resource inventory through Dr. Tom Rothsberg, which is making its way to the council workshop in the near future. So the fruits of that labor is almost here, and thanks for all your hard work to push us that way. Urban conservation, as we just found out tonight, Marion's moving off of the park board's role, but she's still going to chair us, and we want to thank you for that. You're a hard person to fill those shoes, and you're a great leader when it comes to urban conservation issues for our community, and we're proud to have you on our team. She helped us start our first rain garden program. As you see, this is an example of one of them. Water quality efforts, another huge issue for urban conservation along our state. Landscape restoration issues. Again, I think this is at Greenwood or McHenry? McHenry, thank you. And our prescribed fire program, another way we treat the land and manage those native landscapes. And there's still more, Marion. So from here, I'd like to have you come down and Susan come down up front. Promise to keep this short, though.
That was short.
Just following orders. Your picture back here, thank you. We just have a little plaque we'd like to do, and Susan's going to make a. Yes, would you put the screen on for us? Put it over here. So.
Well, we want to applaud Marion's vision and her tenacity in making all of these things happen in the parks. And presenting with a small plaque of appreciation.
Thank you.
But we didn't think that was quite enough. So we thought we'd like to do something for you, and we'd like to plant a tree in your honor in Brody Park, and one of the new coffee trees that Judy Pernicki has talked about.
One of Judy's trees.
So that's
So those that don't know, in our viewing audience or the park board, that's what a Kentucky coffee tree looks like. We'll let Marion hear them.
So we thought we need something to do personally too. Sherry, you've always been so strong with native plants and how important those are to the ecosystem. And it's a little hard to get a native plant this time of year, but thanks to our friends at Prairie Landscape, we have a native plant for you. A wild petunia. And it was blooming until the storm the other night. It has new buds, and so it's about to bloom. So carrying on your tradition.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you all. Let me just do one thing. I just have a few prepared comments. It shouldn't take me. Seriously, number one, I probably want to thank Park and Rec board members, past more than future, or the newest ones, who've had to put up with me asking about 1 billion questions through most of the park board meetings, but they all lived through it. And I also want to just thank, initially, Preston Daniels appointed me to the park board, and through various iterations, it's Chris Coleman, whose pleasure I've been serving at most recently, and I want to thank Chris for the opportunity to be a part of this really important group of volunteers. I've really appreciated the 13 years I've had on the board. Change is good, so, I'm glad Chris has finally appointed somebody else new to this, and you can bet I expect great things to continue to happen out of the Parks Department and the Park Board. Obviously, conservation has been a big focus of mine. That's a personal interest that I've had. And there are two people I really kind of want to call out, because I think they're, you gave me some credit, and I appreciate it. It was pretty low key, as it should be, because I've just been one player amongst many. But there are two people that I think really need to be recognized for their contribution to the Des Moines Parks Department, and as out front as the Parks Department has been on these issues. I mean, we are the first department to have a LEED certified building. We're the first to try to lead by example in terms of how we are managing our park space in an environmentally sustainable way to educate our public. And the person who really brought that to Des Moines is Tiva Dawson. And it was with Tiva and support from Don that we started the Urban Conservation Advisory Committee, which I'm really proud of. I think that's a great vehicle of diverse stakeholders who have an opportunity to bring, their knowledge to the table and leverage what we can all do. And, that was Tiva's brainchild, to tell you the truth. And Tiva, throughout her years of service with the Parks Department, continued to be the voice for, the environment that didn't have its own voice. And I can imagine there were plenty of staff meetings when you guys got really tired of hearing about that. But it was important, and I will always appreciate and respect Tiva for her commitment to that. The second person is really Don Tripp, former Park and Rec director, who had the open-mindedness to embrace this and make it a part of the philosophy of the department. And without that endorsement, we'd never be where we are today. And to that end, one of the things I'm most proud of is something we did probably back in 2006, which is a land stewardship policy that we wrote kind of through that Urban Conservation Advisory Committee. It was approved ultimately by the City Council, who I should also acknowledge as being, a pretty green City Council. And our mayor, Frank, has done a lot to promote sustainability for the city of Des Moines. So, we're in a good place, but this is really important because this is what institutionalized, if you will, the idea of stewardship within the Park and Rec Department. So just so that, some of you new people who don't know that this existed, I made a copy. And I'm going to pass it out, so now you know it exists. In reading through it, I thought I grabbed what was the final out of the procedures manual. It's not the final, unfortunately, but at least new people know that exists, and you can get a sense of what the philosophy is, a refresher for the old people, and I guess my wish moving forward is that we don't lose sight of that, and that we continue to try to be the leaders in terms of sustainability and conservation and how we manage our lands. So, and the last thing I want to say is what an honor it has been to work with all of you people. A lot of people like to make fun of government workers, but I'm telling you, in my 13 years of experience,
I have come to realize that you guys are the best and the brightest, and some of the most committed people I have ever had the honor of working with and around. I mean, some of these people, citizens of Des Moines, you may not realize it, but they're on call 24/7, weekends included. They split it up, but they're there, and they work tirelessly to make your city a better place. And they do it because they care, not just because it's their job. So of all the things, working with you folks has been my biggest honor and pleasure. So thank you very much, and thank you all very much.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for a wonderful meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you all.